checking out the Sportsline Podcast on the CHCH media platform. I'm Bubba O'Neill. As always, I'm so proud to say that the Golden Horseshoe is the place to be for high-level sports, executives, events, and athletes, and first and foremost, outstanding athletes. In today's case, it's a superstar from the pitch who has played around the world, and today she wears an Olympic medal around her neck. From a very young age, some athletes know exactly what they want to do, and this Oakville native had it all figured out at the age of 10. From making her mark at a club level at the well-established Crusaders program, she began to craft her skills. In fact, when she was 13 years old, she was hanging out with players 16 and 17 years old. In high school, she was an OFSA champ at Oakville Trafalgar. At that point, Team Ontario and Team Canada were obvious steps in her development, and now she's a star with the Exeter Chiefs in the English Premiership. But first, we have an Olympic silver medal to discuss. Taylor Perry, all the way from BC, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I'm telling you, how could we not have you? You're an Olympic champ. That has got to be the most outstanding thing for you. How does it feel, first and foremost?
It feels pretty surreal still. Like it hasn't sunk in at all, but the experience was fantastic. So I don't know, I guess with time it'll kick in and we'll start celebrating in that as well.
Well, I'll start off with this here. You know, outside of the actual competition of rugby, just kind of explain to all of us what your Olympic experience was like.
It was really cool. Like for a lot of the team, it was our first Olympics. Like there was only 3 people that had been to an Olympics before. Like there was Liv Apps, Kiara Wardley, and Charity Williams, who was going on her 3rd. So they've had all experienced the Olympic Village before, and before a lot of us, we were completely new. Like we're quite a young team too. So by the time we got into the village, let it all sink in, it was time to compete. So it was a pretty quick turnover, but all around just like a fantastic experience.
It certainly looked like it. I mean, I seen pictures and it looked like everyone was just full of smiles, and I guess being together as a unit, and not just only for rugby, like as a Team Canada experience, that had to have been pretty wild too.
Yeah, it was really incredible. Like we trained together every single day, sometimes twice, 3 times a day. So like all of our hard work coming together at once, it was just like, we talked a lot about gratitude and just being present in where we are. Like we did work so hard to get there, but it was time to like experience it along the way as well. So it was just so like, there was so much joy and happiness being there together and knowing how hard everyone had worked for it. So yeah, it was really, really good. And it was great to like really take the moments together to appreciate how far we've come.
Outside of the rugby, did you get to check out anything, or were you watching anything, or was there another sport that maybe you were interested in?
I was definitely interested in other sports. Our stint there was so short. So we saw, some of us went to go see the men's competition, like the men's rugby, which was awesome because it was before our competition had started. So we were able to go to the stadium, check it out, see how loud it was, which was like insane of how many people were in the stadium and how like the sounds echoed and everything as well. So we went to go see the men's stint, and then after that, it was our competition, and I would have really loved to go see tennis, and I would have really loved to see gymnastics as well. But unfortunately, we all left the village, I guess, like 48 hours after our competition had ended. So watch the rest of it from my couch.
Okay. Now, you did talk about the loud stadiums, and before we just get into your part of the competition, though, I guess maybe for you and maybe some of your other teammates, I mean, you played at World Cups and that kind of stuff and been around and traveled and played in England previously. So were the big crowds and the loud noise, was that kind of something you were used to and didn't affect you?
I think all of us had been in big enough stadiums, I guess, that like, you know, that once you're on the field, you can only hear the voices that you're familiar with, and it's hit and miss if you can hear the refs, but hopefully enough. But apart from that, like, I think for most of us, that was the biggest crowd we had played in front of. And it was the biggest crowd that has seen sevens, men and women, which is fantastic. So that was a big eye opener. I'm glad we went a couple days early to kind of see how it was, hear it as well. But once you're on the field, you're just zoned in, and then you black out a little bit and you can hear the voices of everyone around you, and that's about it.
The sevens and the 15s, which I know you've played both, obviously. You played since you were the age of 10. Obviously there's advantages and disadvantages to each sport, different type of the sport. Is there a preference for you, whether it be the 15s or the 7s? I know the 7s is just maniac, though, just so much open space.
Yeah, I'd say, I mean, for me personally, like whatever I'm playing at the time, I'd say I enjoy more. Like we have WXV in a couple of weeks, so hopefully we all have the opportunity, or some of us have the opportunity to play some 15s too. So, like, I don't know. It's so cool to see. Like I'm more of a, I guess, rugby kind of vision mind. I set other people up for the most part, but the athletes that we have in 7s is just insane. So to pair that up with some of the strength we have in like our forwards and 15s and that too, like, oh, it's going to be such an amazing pair. So I'm really excited to see everyone come together.
Okay, so let's talk about the actual journey here. 6 games. You start off with a victory, and then, whoa, things didn't go so well in a hurry against New Zealand. But then you kind of responded. After that loss to New Zealand, what did you guys tell each other to get right back to where you ended up finishing?
Well, we kind of said from the start, like we had obviously the goal, like we wanted to top our pool because it was a really nice path from there to the finals. So that was a goal of ours. But when we didn't achieve that and we lost to New Zealand in the pool play, it wasn't a big setback. Like we've had games like that against New Zealand too, that like it's a pretty big score difference. Yet in Madrid we were able to beat them. So like we knew it was possible all along. So like we knew that we could bounce back from it. And we also, like, from the very start, we were really excited about a quarterfinal game against France, to play like the host team and to hear like just the energy in the stadium and that as well. Like that was kind of a goal for us as well. So to be able to come on top of that, even after a bit of a loss, was not surprising for us because we prepare for things like that. But obviously a really big opportunity.
The France victory had to be. I mean, there was so many marquee, and I think that's the one that opened the eyes of the nation to, like, these women are onto something. The big crowd, it was obvious. And I thought it was great because a lot of your business was done in the second half out of nowhere, and that had to be outstanding.
Yeah, it was really fantastic. Like whether the crowd's against you or for you, like it is what, like, we play the game for. We love that energy in the stadium. So, I mean, obviously we'd love to hear the cheers for us. We have that taste in Vancouver Sevens, which hopefully like more and more people want to come out for. But personally, the France game was definitely my favorite of the entire tournament.
That was wild. And then by the time that rolls around and you're playing Australia, and again, a higher ranked team, favored by most around the world, again, shocking and amazing. That had to have been wild.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Especially like we knew the threats that are on that team and who we had to shut down. And when Maddie Levi went for a big run, like first minute of the game, I'm sure there was a little bit of a setback, but also like that really made us switch on because like we had a job to do. So it was really good that we were able to flip the switch and really turn up for it in the second half, especially.
Okay, so then all of a sudden, here we are. Your journey starts. You guys were kind of a little up and down from the beginning. You start shocking the world, and then you're in the gold medal match. Before the end result, you can tell me about that after. What was the build-up in terms of the emotion? And I know just, a day or two of practice. What was your mindset going into that?
Well, obviously a lot of gratitude. Like we were really, really happy to be there. But we weren't settling necessarily. Like we knew that we were playing for a medal, which was a goal from the very, very start. But we wanted to get gold out of it. Like that was a goal going into it. We weren't going in happy with silver by any means. But I'd say like throughout the season we had, like, it was a season of firsts was like a lot of our theme. So like we wanted to top our pool in a tournament. So we were able to do that. I think before January, that was a first for us. So we were able to top our pool. We wanted to beat every team in the circuit before showing up to the Olympics, which we accomplished in Madrid. And then we also wanted to get a medal before showing up to the Olympics too. To be able to like really compete for like a top 4 position, these are like our to-dos that we had to accomplish. And it took every single tournament of the year, but eventually we were able to get there, which set us up really nicely.
I thought it was fantastic for me to read a lot of the press from, obviously I'm a media guy, and I'm reading the press from New Zealand. I'm listening to the clips of what the players are saying, the New Zealand players. You guys put a real fear into them, and that's got to bode well for the future.
Yeah, like it's definitely like in sevens and 15s, like we've had a really great year against New Zealand. But every time we played in New Zealand, like they're a rugby nation, and no matter what, they back their like their men's and women's team. But it's really cool that after to earn the respect from them is one thing, but also to see like our nation backing us, both of our men's and women's teams as well, like is really, really big. And it's really awesome to see like the progress as like, even just in this 1 year, it's really great to see Canada behind us too.
I think when I talk to so many of you Olympians, I think the one thing that comes across real well is, especially in these short tournaments and these short get-togethers, which, the Olympics only being 2 weeks and your competition being the better part of a week, is the relationships that you grow together. First things first, a little bit about the pride of Lindsay, Ontario, your captain, Olivia Apps. She just seems like such a leader.
She is like, we have some really great leaders in Canada. Like between her and Sophie Goody in the 15s, like our captains are fantastic. But to have Liv leading us is like exactly the person we need for the job. She's just so humble, and like she'll put any of us in front of her. But she like really leads from the front, and we all have a lot of respect for her. She's so great.
And the rest of your club, again, because I could see the hugs, the tears, the tears of joy. It had to be wonderful, an experience that way.
Yeah, it was unforgettable. And I hope that our coach spoke with us as well, like it could be years and years and decades down the road. And they just want us to be able to meet each other on the street, want to cross the street to give each other a hug because of just like the amazing experiences we've had together.
Well, prior to the Olympics, there's news that comes across that you signed a contract to go play in England with the Exeter Chiefs, where you've been before. You're going to be playing pro. Again, that experience, what's that like, playing a sport that you love, but getting to play it on a professional level? Yeah,
it's a really great experience, and it's an experience that more Canadians are able to have as well. And hopefully down the road, like we're able to build something like that in Canada, or at least in North America, with the States. But as of right now, it's like a great place to be. Top rugby every single week. It's the most consistent, in a row games that you can have in a season. So it's exactly what we need to prepare for the World Cup and that as well.
And do you have is there other fellow Canadians on your club?
Yeah. There's I don't want to forget anyone though. There's a lot of Canadians.
Oh, really?
We have Emily Tatosi, Dalika Menon. We have Mick Nelson going over there as well. So a couple of 15s. I think they're all front row. Sorry if they're not. We have Alex Tessé in the backs as well. And we'll see who else. A couple more might come and join us as well.
That's fantastic. Let's talk a little bit about your love for rugby. I don't know. I mean, we live in Canada. We think, oh, I want to play hockey. That wasn't your case. 10 years old, 11 years old, 13 years old, playing rugby. Where did this love come from?
Well, I joined Oakville Crusaders when I was 10 years old, and from there, that was like a buy-in from my whole family. My dad took on coaching and ended up coaching the entire junior women's program there. And my brother took on rugby as well, and is just an absolute superstar. Played over in New Zealand this past spring. He's quite young, but he's up and coming, so keep an eye out for Brendan Black. But yeah, so it was just a take on from our entire family, and we all just bought in. The community at Oakville Crusaders is nothing like anywhere else. So no matter where I go, they're still with me, cheering me on, and that as well. And I hope to spend a lot of time there again soon. But I think if you're, especially in Ontario, if you have a club close by to you, it's just, if you even get a taste of it, it's hard to come back from it. So.
Well, I had some members of the Hamilton Hornets here, and I wanted to, in particular, talk to a former woman player who's just retired and another young and up-and-coming player. And I thought it was really interesting to learn the dynamics because, let's be honest, rugby is a physical sport. I mean, it's a contact sport. And in our little world, and I know the world is changing, thank goodness, we don't associate the girls with wanting to knock each other's block off and play a physical sport. Did you have to fight through any sort of, stigmas, I would have to say, about being a girl at the time playing rugby?
I don't know about stigmas. Like for sure, there's men's and women's rugby, and we're still on the climb to like completely make that equal and like aware worldwide that like women are able to do this as well, and also can play like just as competitively and have just as exciting of a game, and like just to get the people watching. So I think that's like a number one thing. But I came from like a really great high school that was huge into rugby at Oakville. So they supported both men and women rugby all the way, and our women's team and men's team was like just so successful. And same with I think everywhere I've been club wise, on like provincially, nationally, we've all had like really successful women's teams, so they're almost hard to ignore, if that makes sense. So, so personally, I've really enjoyed, like it is a sport that's there to break barriers, and I think that we are just starting, and I hope that like the success that we have along the way just kind of opens people's eyes. So
that's important, and I'm glad that you said that. Congratulations on that, because I think that is a barrier that this sport has certainly crossed in the minds of so many, and what you guys just did at the Olympics will open the eyes of many as well too. I look at your journey and what you've done, Ontario Player of the Year, all the things that you've done and accomplished, Team Canada's World Cups play. But the one thing that impresses me the most is that, and maybe this has got to feel good for me, you can explain to me, is that you had a serious knee injury. And having to come back from that, some people never come back, but the fact that you are back on the pitch has got to be the best feeling for you.
Yeah, it's really fantastic. I've actually suffered like 2 ACL reconstructions, which not everyone like has to go through, but I was so grateful to have such an amazing support staff with me every single time, because every time I've had a knee injury, I've actually come back better and stronger. So if anyone's going through an injury, just keep that in mind, that it is like, you can come back better, you can come back stronger, and your career in your sport can be as long as you want it to be. So you have more control over it than you think, and hopefully that resonates with some people, because yeah, injuries are the worst, but yeah.
You battle back though. That's the most important thing. You brought him up a little bit. I got to get a little bit more. You got a brother by the name of Brendan, and I know he played for the Arrows as well too, and one of the youngest, I believe, to ever be signed by the Arrows at the time, and unfortunately that league is not there any longer. But talk to me about what kind of, I know he's younger than you, but what kind of influence has he been for you?
I think Brennan's biggest fan. Like, he's really just outstanding, and he continues to grow and he continues to get better. And I like that he's choosing his own path in rugby. Like, it doesn't have to be cookie cutter. Like, everyone thinks it has to be club, provincial, national, and like that's the end goal. And he's tried MLR already, and he's gone over to New Zealand for a club. And like, I know it's just the start for him. So I'm really excited to see what he does. And yeah, he's always just been a really big inspiration for me, for other kids in the community, from my family and that as well. So yeah, it's really cool to watch him grow up and keep growing.
Do you guys share notes? Do you guys like talk to each other about this sport?
People do love it, because he does play quite a bit of fly half as well. So we actually do play a lot of the same positions. So some people compare us, but we'll see where he goes.
Right on. Taylor, this has been outstanding. I say congratulations to you winning that silver medal. I hope whatever happens to you in England works out really, really well. And I know you're out in BC now, I guess. No, you're not in Oakville any longer. Congratulations on that. And again, most important, I'm so happy to see you come back from that knee injury, because some people just, as I said, just don't come back from it. And to get the flowers that you guys have now gotten with the Canadian rugby team, let's hope for success. Let's see what happens 4 years from now. You talked about what's going to be happening in Vancouver very, very soon. We'll be watching you all the way from Steeltown in here in Southern Ontario. Congratulations.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You.
Take care. That's your Sportsline Podcast for the day. And as you've just seen and heard, we love talking sports, especially ones that have silver medals around their neck. If you do know of an athlete or a team to promote the Sportsline Podcast, we want to hear from you. Please hit that thumbs up, like, and subscribe button. And if you have something to say, please do comment. We'd love to hear what you have to say. For the wonderful people that make the Sportsline Podcast possible, thank you so very much. And we'll see you tomorrow.